The manner in which the U.S. government protected national security at the expense of the personal liberties of Japanese Americans during World War II infringed on their constitutional rights as citizens, and in turn affected their lives after internment. The United States has always had issues with acceptance and equality of people who were different, whether in regards to their skin color, religion, and many other factors. The internment camps were a result of not just World War II, but the events that led up to the creation of the war. Tensions escalated between the United States and Japan when the Empire invaded North China. As a result of this, President Franklin Roosevelt decided to cut off all trade with the country. 2 days later, the U.S. imposed trade sanctions on Japan, placing embargoes on oil and other products leaving the country. This decision, made by Congress, was thought to be the best way to keep the empire in line as it expanded at an alarming rate. However, it only led to strained relations between the two countries. The attack on Pearl Harbor occurred later that year, killing thousands of Americans. This event severely influenced the way the United States responded to the war crisis. Since the attack was orchestrated by Japanese soldiers, the U.S. government viewed their Japanese immigrants and their families as untrustworthy spies collecting information for the next attack. There was an influx of war propaganda specifically aimed toward the Japanese, and it didn't take much for the American public to view their Japanese American peers as the enemy because of their ancestry. A couple of months after the attack, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066 to keep alien enemies under control until the end of the war. The President believed the executive order to be the best step towards the safety of the American public. However, he failed to realize that the majority of the internees were made up of American citizens. These camps infringed on their equal rights and made efforts to dehumanize them. This degrading treatment did not go away simply because the camps did 3 years later. Upon the defeat of the Japanese and the release of the internees, these citizens were left penniless and were still unwelcome by society. This affected thousands of families and their future generations regarding housing, education, and job opportunities. The internment camps and their effect on the Japanese American population were an unseen blot in American history, unnoticed by the government and the majority of the people. However, the scars of dehumanization never healed, even with the financial reparations offered almost 50 years after the initial incarceration. No amount of money could make up for the injustice these people faced. Ever since the executive order was signed, people have continuously spoken out against the actions of the U.S. government and people after this event. People such as photographer Patrick Nagatani and actor George Takei have used their voices to bring attention to the infamous yet forgotten event in American history. The government has been forced to face their past mistakes and how they chose to respond to the crisis of World War II. They neglected their people when they most needed support and have not seemed to learn from this event. Not only is it important that the country never forgets, but they also must be willing to learn as well. It is vital that we do not let history repeat itself now or ever.